I am Christine Dignam. I graduated from St. Joe's in 2015, and I work for Neshaminy School District as a behavior analyst and school psychologist, primarily in the autistic support program. I am a behavior analyst and a school psychologist. So mainly what I'm doing is evaluations for the students in our autistic support program. Often these students are already identified. They already have IEPs, which is an individualized education plan. So often my assessments are based on their current needs, and informing how we can best program for them or update their current programming to serve them and ensure success for them based on their changing and their development um, and what is being observed day to day. Another big part of my role is consultation with teachers. So often I meet with teachers in our autistic support program. I check in with them about what's going on. I give suggestions about best practice and strategies they can try to support their students and to maximize their potential. And that's something that I really love to do. And it's really great to be able to collaborate, learn from each other, and to see success based on that collaboration. And then I also I do training throughout the district. I'm CPI certified, which is a nonviolent crisis prevention intervention training. So I do a lot of trainings throughout the school. I sometimes do training for people not in our program, to kind of inform them and to promote inclusion and integration of students with different needs. So it's a very varied role, and it's exciting. No day is the same, and I love what I do. So it's very cool. So because I have two different jobs, I'll explain the different entry paths for both. So if you just want to be a school psychologist, typically you go into a designated graduate program after you've received your undergraduate degree. There are different types of programs. Some are full-time, some you can do while you're working, and most are 3 year for the minimum. But if you do decide to get a PhD, or there's certain programs that have different tracks, so they add an extra year or two. So it depends on the program. My program was 3 years. In the first year, I got my master's, and then the next year I finished my course requirements, and then the last year is internship. So I completed a full-time full year internship where I was a school psychology intern and acted as a school psychologist with the supervision of an already certified school psychologist. So that was my school psych entry path. And then for a behavior analyst or a BCBA, it's a little bit different and varied. So you need to have a master's in some sort of related field, some sort of behavior related field. So it can be psychology, it can be education, it can be social work. And then beyond that, there are course requirements specific to the field of applied behavior analysis. When I was in school, I was planning to do this. So I had a few electives in my school psych sequence. So I was able to take some of the required courses in my school psych course requirement, and then I was able to add on the extra courses during my internship year. But other people can just kind of add on another year to their master's program. And then beyond that, you're required to do 2,000 hours of supervised field work, and meet with a supervisor regularly. There's all kinds of specifics around what percentage of time has to be spent meeting with your supervisor. And so once you have all of that done, you have to pass a test, which is a bear of a test. And so it takes a lot of studying and a lot of hard work. And then once you pass the test, you become a BCBA. So those are the two entry paths to the two different jobs. And then you apply for open jobs in your area. So I was lucky enough to have a job through the Bucks County Intermediate Unit. And there I was placed in a school district, in Neshaminy School District, and I made that connection, and I was able to get a full-time job through Neshaminy. And that's how I ended up where I am. I think there's very practical skills, and then there's the softer skills. So compassion, and I mean, not that compassion is a skill, but I think it's a trait you have to have. You have to be interested in building relationships. You have to be able to uh, do a lot of perspective taking. And I think at St. Joe's, I learned a lot of those skills because I was able to do a lot of service. I was involved right from the start with PSIP, which is the Philadelphia Service Immersion Program, that allows freshmen to have kind of a pre-orientation experience where they serve at a site in Philadelphia and learn about some sort of social justice issue. And so that kind of, I hit the ground running with service in my undergrad, and continued to experience that. I did weekly service. I did Apex, and I was just involved in a lot of those kinds of activities, and that allowed me to see the benefit of perspective taking, and being aware of the issues that are surrounding us where we are, and thinking critically about what we can do to be a part of that, and to help work and advocate for those issues to be resolved. So that was probably my foray into a helping profession. And then some of those more practical skills, organization, because I was involved in a bunch of different things in college, and I also was taking a full load of classes. I needed to learn to be organized at St. Joe's, so I definitely got my got a lot of my organizational skills in college. And communication is a huge thing, and I think college is really the first experience I had with emailing professors and emailing potential jobs and setting up interviews and those kinds of things. And now that's so much of my job, sending emails that that keeps everybody updated and in the know, and keeps our teams running effectively, especially because in my role, I'm in so many different places. My communication is so important because I can't be in front of my teams at all time. And yeah, I would say those are the bigger skills. Of course, there's 1,000 things that go into being successful in any job. But I think those are the things that stand out for me as having a foundation at St. Joe's. I think that if you're interested in working in schools, if you're interested in working with individuals with disabilities, if you're interested in behavior analysis, if you're interested in working with people, I can't recommend working for the Kinney Center enough. It is just so easy as a St. Joe's student to have to get that job and get that experience. You're at St. Joe's, you're so lucky to have that resource available to you. And I worked at the Kinney Center when I was in undergrad, and then I was able to come back and do some of my supervision hours at Kinney. And I just am always pushing people to get that experience because it's just so valuable, no matter what kind of people facing profession you're in. It teaches you so many great skills, like working with people who have different needs than you, advocating for people in your community, and just like beginning job skills. So if any of these things are interesting to you, I recommend the Kinney Center. Another thing that college students can do if they're interested in working in schools is over the summer, look at your local school district's job website. Often they'll have extended school year where they're looking for um, one-on-one aides or personal care assistants, which college students are often, they meet the requirements for these positions, and it gives you good entry-level experience of what it's like working in schools. And it also gives you a window into the school environment, and it can give you a taste of it to see if you're interested or if you like it. And it's usually only like 5 or 6 weeks. At St. Joe's, I had so many awesome professors that I spent time with during office hours, or I was able to set up outside meetings with them, um, just to talk about their experiences and to talk about what kinds of things I could do to get more experience in the fields that I was interested in. All of my professors were so willing to talk to me about this and to help me in any way they could. A lot of them have worked in the fields that they are teaching in now and have connections that can be really beneficial to students. And I think something that's unique about St. Joe's, because it's a smaller school environment and smaller class sizes, is that the professors are able to really get to know the students. And in my experience, they are committed to the success of the students and doing whatever they can to promote that. So and especially during my senior year, something that I would do is I would just go to office hours of my professors and I would ask them, what did you do when you graduated from college? Uh, and they would share their stories, and then they would ask what my interests were and give advice. And then if they were able to send an email or connect me with someone that could give me more information about an opportunity or more information about something I wanted to think about in the future, they were always willing to do that. So I would say something really easy you can do in undergrad is just go to office hours of your professors or reach out to your professors and set up a time to meet one-on-one and talk about your interests and also talk about their experiences so that you can you can get connected in that way. And it's super easy and available to you. I am very privileged. I am a white woman and I come from an upper middle class background. And in my field, most other psychologists, school psychologists, and behavior analysts look similar to me. So I would say that I can't speak from experience about barriers because of my privilege, but I try my best to advocate and use my privilege to advocate um, for groups who might experience those kinds of barriers. I often, when I do an interview, I'll ask what kind of initiatives toward equity are taking place in the place of work. And when I can, I try to uh, look into resources and promote those in my work. And also, my job is as a psychologist, as a behavior analyst, is to advocate for people with disabilities who are often marginalized and discriminated against. And so, um, coming from privilege, I try to make it my focus to advocate for people who have faced those kinds of barriers. In my experience, there are thousands of books and resources I could recommend. In my experience, though, in my field, I think that the thing that has been most eye-opening to me, that has helped me learn the most, is listening to the people that my decisions impact. So, as a psychologist and a behavior analyst, I'm often making decisions around specifically students in my school, and making decisions that impact their everyday. And so I'm always trying to look for resources that give me insight into their own experiences. Also, uh, families of students and listening to them and getting that perspective has been really important to me in my development and in my success as a person in this field. So I try to, I know social media is a big uh, it's a big resource for information for people, because it's so accessible and everybody has these accounts. So I recommend following accounts um, that center voices of people with disabilities. I follow a lot of autistic influencers and other people with disabilities, and also parent advocacy groups. And I had a class in grad school that was probably my favorite class, where we were every week assigned blogs to read, uh, that were written by parents of autistic students, autistic people, other people with disabilities. And we had to talk about them and talk about how we would integrate their needs and their voices into like how we approach our jobs. And so I think that has been the most meaningful and the most helpful resource that I can recommend, and also that I continue to pursue in my career. I wish that someone had told me that I didn't have to be so anxious about what my next step would be, because I think that I felt a lot of pressure to make this big decision about what I would do after graduation. And of course, it is important. It does impact how your life, the path you take in life. However, life is long and there are many, many, many different opportunities uh, available to you, especially once you have graduated college. And you can always learn, you can always grow, and you can always change your mind. So I think that if I was talking to myself right now, my graduating senior self, I would say make an informed decision, but don't stress out too much about it because you can always change your mind. You can always try something different. And as long as you're making decisions in an intentional way, um, you can learn and grow from anything that you do.